This is a little bit of gouache that was left over from painting the black walnut husks this morning. And I'm going to dampen this and just use it to make a few simple faces. It's a good reason to use up paint, and I learn something new every time. Just make a couple of ovals. Let's say I don't know much about painting faces. Well, I know that there are two eyes, and somebody told me that they're about halfway down the head, and I know there's a nose in between. I'm just going to throw a suggestion, maybe, some eyes on this. A little bit of hair. This one's some blonde hair, maybe some braids. Now this is just paper I grabbed. Looks like kind of weird paper for this. So I'll let it drip down. What I'll do is use this other partially used palette. Here's some blue. Soften that up a bit. Awfully wet to work with, so I'm going to wick it up. And I'll do these to create characters for stories I might tell in paintings later. Remember, this is gouache and not watercolor, so it's acting a little differently. I'm going to let that dry completely, and you'll see I'm going to pull this off. Doesn't look like much now, but it will eventually. Let me try a different kind of paper. This too doesn't really feel like watercolor paper. It's Fabriano. It might be. Let's see. I'll let that one dry. This is real watercolor paper. It's heavy duty. Arches watercolor. Okay. Now can you see a face starting to appear here? There's one face. Let's see what we can do with this one. Same sort of technique. Put the eye in here, a line down along the nose. There's darkness under the nose. There's the upper lip, underneath the lip. Just playing around with the warms and cools until I get it to look like a form that could suggest a face. As you can see, some work out better than others. But as many times as I do this, I struggle with the same things and learn new things. And I'm talking to myself in my head as I'm doing it, saying, oh, well, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? See how many times his face has changed? It's gone back and forth between being a male and a female quite a few times. Calling it quits with those. This is a weird paper for this. I think it's just 100% rag, and I used to use it for archival backing. I'm just starting with a blob that starts to suggest the face, and then I put in darker eyes, line for the nose, upper lip, lower lip. Just allow experimentation to do something worthwhile. And the reason it's worthwhile is because you learn some things you can do, some things you can't do, and that often you can retrieve something from a mess. So here we have, from Messy Things, we have 5 different characters. Okay. And let's see. Now, neither one of those is watercolor paper. And we're not dealing with watercolor except for the blue. The rest is gouache. So I'll use a little bit of this alizarin color. This, too, is watercolor. Let's see. I kind of like that, just like that. There's another one. Let's see what we can do with this one. This one's a little awkward. Okay, I'm starting to see a face that's possible in here. Dry a little bit, and then I'm going to indicate under the nose and mouth again. So there I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 faces. They were all made just by putting blobs down, putting 2 dark spots for the eyes, a little bit of a line for the shadow side of the nose, a line for the upper lip that's in shadow usually, another little line for under the lower lip, and an indication of the dark side of the face and the dark side of the chin. Basically, that's what I did with all of them, and you saw me play back and forth, change the shapes, change the sex, change the hair, make a mess, pull a face back out, and what I like is that I definitely have different expressions. This is kind of a non-expression. Those all, you kind of can feel the mood of the people. She's a little vacant. I like this one. That one's just, it's hard to tell what kind of emotions are going on in that person. She's a little vacant too. I think the ones with the most character, this woman, that woman, this man, and she just looks very troubled. These two are just making nicey nice to everybody. And that guy just doesn't know what to think. But there, it starts a story. And then you can imagine if all of these people were stuck in an elevator together, what kind of a story could you write? And these people didn't exist before I decided to use up my gouache and a little bit of this experimental palette. So all it takes is time and experimentation. Faces are so much fun to play with.